Hello, good people, and welcome to the Nothing Above the Moon podcast. I'm your host, Mike Johnson. I'm joined by my co-host, Cam.
The Av. Keep going with the Av.
Yeah, the Av. Cam, the Av Huff. And today we got a special guest in the house. We have Joe Ward.
Yeah. What's going on?
Yeah, man, let's put some respect on this man's name.
Put some respect on it?
Yeah.
Well, okay, let me try this again. Joe, the legend, the myth, what else we going to talk? Businessman, entrepreneur, statesman, basketball player, used to work at Goodwill.
I forgot about that.
I had that hookup.
You worked at the one on Parkway, right?
Parkway and Capital Circle Northeast. Parkway was, I had some deals for you.
Yes. Yeah, you worked with Miss Judy, right?
Yeah. Let's swear to Judy,
Yeah. Good old days. I spent a little time there, man. Good old days.
Yeah, I got Mike a job out there. He left that thing in about...
I remember that.
A month?
Yeah, about a month.
2 months?
Yeah, he was out of there.
I don't blame everybody that I got a job out there, except my homeboy Chaka was out in about 2 months.
You know what, man? Goodwill make you grind, bro.
Yeah, they do, man. I already had a full-time job, too, so it was like, man, I don't want to be here doing this all night, man. Straight.
Yeah, I was a manager there, though.
Yeah.
Assistant manager.
Yeah, he was in there for a minute, bro.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I had to start from the bottom.
How long you worked there?
2 years, I think.
For real?
Yeah,
I was
man.
there 5.
You
Really?
Really?
That was my job during college. Because I started working like the second semester of my freshman year, so that was my college job. I mean, it was easy money. Got access to girls. You ain't gonna be there all night.
True.
Got access to everything we like and we don't like.
True.
So
That's facts.
yeah,
Those are facts.
It went down, man. It was fun, but when it was time to grow up, we had to quit.
Yeah, exactly. You can't stay there forever, man.
Right.
It ain't one of them jobs, man.
How many people from Rick had seen you up in there, and they was asking you, man, what the hell you doing in here?
Everybody.
Yeah.
But that's before I became a hookup, though.
Okay.
But then I was still in school, so that was like, all right, we ain't gonna mess with you because you in school. But also, like I said, I was, whatever you need.
Yeah. Hey, bro, I should have came and hollered at you. I didn't know it was like that.
Good old days, man.
Everybody who needed community service, hey, man, you help me out, I help you out.
You know what, man? I used to kind of do the same thing when I had my community service people there, man. I left Goodwill because, man, it's so crazy, man. They thought I stole, like, I'm the manager now. They thought I stole, like, some silly earrings or something. I'm like, what?
Did you steal it?
No, man.
Come
on, man. I ain't got this.
You was different from me. Hey, my jump was legit. Just my poker face was good.
Yeah, man. I mean, and they come to find out that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But it was crazy that, I got accused of something like that, putting my heart and effort into that job, man. I bust my butt at that job, man.
I feel you.
And I got a different job. And, people, at the time was like, man, we didn't think you did it. But, it was, at the time, I just didn't like to be accused of anything, especially something that minor.
Yeah,
right.
I feel you, man.
Yeah. So, but, Goodwill taught me a lot, and I respect the people who was out there, It was definitely a cultural experience working at Goodwill.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You see anybody from out there still who used to work there?
It was one guy who still works there. I think he still works there to this day. His name is Star.
Yeah, he still work there.
Yeah.
Black dude?
Black dude. Glasses. Yeah, that's my guy, man.
Yeah, he still work. He worked at the one on way out on the north side, right?
Well, I thought he worked on the one on Mabry.
I thought I saw a dude out there. No, I take that back. I'm sorry. His name wasn't Star. It's a different dude. It was a black dude with glasses, though.
Yeah, it's a black dude with glasses. Brown skin guy.
Yeah.
He was a good guy, man. Yeah, real cool guy, man. He helped me out a lot, because obviously when I was the manager, he was like kind of like one of the head people I had to go to. Well, head cashiers I kind of relied on, I should say. Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah, but let's get into the meat and potatoes, man.
What's up?
Man, glad to have you here, bro, by the way.
I appreciate y'all gentlemen for having me on the podcast, man. I really do.
Well, thank you, man. It's an honor to have you here. But,
wanted
to definitely talk about a few things with you, man. And the first thing I want to kind of touch base with you is to figure out, you definitely have your own podcast and you do your own thing, man. What got you kind of started and want to try to do your own podcast?
Well, myself and my co-founder / co-host, Patrick Irvin, we would have these extensive conversations, like 2 hour long conversations, just about everything going on in the black community. Our venting sessions, if you will. Something happened, because we started to notice a pattern with black people, right? So something happened, we get mad for 2 weeks, and then nothing else happen.
Correct.
Get mad for 2 weeks, then don't nothing else happen. So just doing that because we tried our best to be in the community, be forces in the community, create change, create programs that are viable within the community.
Mm-hmm.
Difficulty, so they start off as vending sessions on the phone. And then was like, man, we're talking about a lot of good stuff. Man, we need to do a podcast. And then I was trying to really figure out exactly what a podcast was.
Mm-hmm.
So we just started. We really just, one day, we picked a Tuesday, we're going to start recording this day. So we called up a friend, Keith Turner, and that was our first guest. It was horrible. The quality was horrible, man. Like I didn't even have the headphones, so you can hear like the microphone. It's just it was all messed up. So of course we had to interview him again, but we literally started off in our rooms on our phone. I would type up some questions, what I thought was good questions or whatever. So just type them up, and we get people on the phone and talk to them, and we use our little recording platform and everything, and we built a website. And but it was good. We kept going. We just kept going because it was fun. All right, we get to talk to people, and surprisingly, people was accepting our bids to be on our podcast. I don't know why, but they was. We was just like, hey, you want to be a part of this show? We want to interview you. Mm-hmm. But then I started figuring out that people like to be interviewed.
Right.
No matter. That's and true. Then also I figured out, stop limiting yourself and then stop putting people on the pedestal all the time. Like, give people they do, but don't put them on the pedestal.
Sure.
And don't never think that nobody won't do nothing for you. Closed mouth don't get fed. So, and also learned that those no's, if you built right, those no's are gonna turn to fuel for yeses in the future. So it's just what we kind of use. Mm-hmm. We had a lot of bad interviews, had some good ones, and just kind of start going back, listening to our podcast and just seeing what we were, and just started growing from there. And that was 2000, I want to say 14.
Okay.
2014.
Well, you've been in this game for a quick little second, man.
Yeah, we've been building for a while, man. Mm-hmm. I ain't gonna lie, it was a point. I was like, is anybody listening to this?
Right.
But then we, as time went on, we started getting better technology, got different apps, different websites. We created a whole website so we could start to track listeners and views, and then we're able to build from there. And then, as I was telling you earlier, we met a guy named, Patrick already knew him, but I met a guy named Terry Banks who used to do announcement and recording and things for the Chicago Bulls back when Jordan was playing. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, all right, this dude got his stuff together. So he came on and kind of helped us get
Hold
the
on.
podcast
Do he
back.
personally know Michael Jordan?
He might do.
Okay.
He might do because he
so
was...
Tell Terry I need to holler at him because Michael Jordan been raping me for these shoes that I've been buying from him for so many years.
need some refunds or something.
Yeah.
But dealing with Terry, we were able to learn more about this podcast. Just interviewing, period. Just interacting with people. My questions got better. And then I really started studying this podcast thing as far as how can I get better. Start listening to my podcast kind of like game film, because I always relate stuff back to sports. So
me too.
Just like watching game film, going back listening to each podcast, and if it's something I don't like, don't just be like, oh, whatever. Like, really deal with that issue that I don't like about the podcast. And, going back, listening to your podcast helps you listen to the tendencies and the habits that you have as far as when you're talking.
Yes.
Because recording in this and talking to your homeboy versus just talking to your homeboy is two different conversations that you have to have, or the structure of the conversations. Because you can't be, you know what I'm saying, man, you know what I'm saying, you feel me, you know what I'm saying? And you ain't said nothing yet. But it's like, you got to be able to say your words. And then people really find out how often they say, you know.
Yes.
So it's, people are going to say it, but that can't be something that you're saying every other word. So it kind of helps you get better as far as talking, speaking, and things. But it's just fun. Like, this podcasting thing is fun. Like I say, it was an opportunity for us to give our voices. And the main thing is, I think black people need to be telling our own stories. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why I do most of the stuff that I do, is because I got tired of white America telling our stories, or being the main media sources that we have. Mm-hmm. The image of black people gonna always be messed up if we got our enemies telling our story. Like, I think we have enough evidence right now to see how the nature and the culture of white people, Europeans, all them are towards us. I mean, everywhere they've been caused destruction. They wipe people out. But if we keep leaning on other people to tell us our stories or to tell us about ourselves, like this Black Panther movie was a great example. People went crazy over it, and they're like, yeah, we finally got a chance for us to see ourselves. And I kind of raised my hand. I was like, man, I do On the Shoulders of Giants series, and I get stories of black people all the time. I'm not saying don't go see the movie, but for adults to think that this is the one and only time that we get to see positive images of ourselves, when we have plenty of black outlets out there, that's troublesome. But at the same time, that's why, like I said, mediums like this podcast is so powerful, because you guys get to dictate your part of the narrative. And so whatever you feel as black men, you can inject into that, and that's what we want to do. We want to create our own narratives. So we're telling our own stories, because can't nobody talk about me or tell my story the way I can tell my story, and nobody can do that for you guys either. So.
I respect that. Yeah. Why do you consider white folks enemies? Now, I can tell you from personal dealings with a lot of different white folks. Not everybody's bad. Can't judge the sum. The one person by the whole. Right. But culturally, the way the federal government has done things and portrayed things in society, I can see where people can have those kind of that mindset, because it for the most part you don't see a lot of black people or black images shined in a positive light. Because I have white friends, I have black friends, I have Spanish friends. I try to talk to everybody and learn everything from different cultures. But I always tell Mike this, and I tell everybody this: you can't integrate into somebody's culture without learning where you're coming from. Right.
But that's the main thing. Now, to be specific, white supremacist, as far as anybody who is a proponent of white supremacy, in my mind, you're an enemy. Whether you black, white, Asian, whatever. If you support white supremacy, you're an enemy, because what we have to realize, and we're going back looking at historical records, is white supremacy is destructive to the earth, period. Everybody who's anybody should be an opponent of it. I don't care what color you are.
Right.
Because it's destructive. Everywhere it has went, it has destroyed. Like I'm reading, right now I'm reading Black Labor, White Wealth by Claude Anderson.
Oh, that sounds like a good book, man.
It's a great book. Now, Claude Anderson economics is his thing. Matter of fact, he was over the economics department here in the state of Florida in the 70s. But if you've seen the Hidden Colors movies, I think he's been in all 4 or maybe 3 of the 4.
Oh my God, Tariq Nasheed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Claude Anderson, check him out on YouTube. Black Labor, White Wealth is one of his books, and Powernomics is the other. Now, he wrote Black Labor, White Wealth specifically to break down how white America, white supremacy have used their various ways to destroy people and gain the economic advantages that they have. But it's also a lot of history in that. So now we're talking about, like when I'm saying it's destructive, because I'm talking about literally destroying groups of people and literally destroying the earth. And so that's why I'm saying everybody, in my opinion, everybody should be an opponent of that. But just also just overall look at of things. Now, Muhammad Ali had a great analogy, and I love it. It's like let's say you got 10,000 snakes coming at you. Like we're in this booth right now, so 10,000 snakes trying to get in here. Now we're not gonna be able to tell who's who. 1,000 of those snakes are non-poisonous. 9,000 are poisonous. Are we gonna go through all 10,000 snakes to see who is on our side and who's not? Or are we gonna keep everybody out?
I see what you're saying.
Now, at the same time, I tell people this: I've helped more white people this year than you probably have in your life. So, am I opponent of white supremacy? Yes, but I'm a human at the end of the day too, and just our nature as black people, we human. So we don't look to look down on somebody, cast somebody out. We try to help people, but at the same time, we can't be no suckers.
Right, and I agree with that. I think, in a sense, like I say, man, I would help any human being out. I would give them the do right. I have had white folks help me out. I had black folks help me out. But when you part of that white supremacy structure, F you. I mean, I don't subscribe to that. And like you said, everybody should be, because historically, what you have seen that has been written is that whenever somebody has went who wanted to create this white supremacy structure in these different lands have wiped out those folks. That's the human race. Right. And you shouldn't, and nobody should subscribe to that.
Right.
So no, I agree with you on that. I just, I kind of wanted to have you break down, the difference between what you consider an enemy and what you consider, white supremacy.
Yeah, and the thing that people got to realize is like this stuff is this is real out here.
Yeah,
and it's really real. So take the concept of race. Mm-hmm. Like if you study Neely Fuller Jr. and Neely Fuller,
he's very powerful, by the way.
He put Dr. Frances Cress Welsing on game, right? Mm-hmm. And she's a giant, so he put her on game. So he was breaking down the concept of race, and he was saying race in itself is racism. But when you guys think about it, when we were young, when the idea and the concept and the word race was first introduced to us, it was introduced in the form of a competition. Mm-hmm. The three of us, we'll line up and race to see who's the fastest, to see who's the first, to see who's the best. That definition of race ain't changed. Now, it's been used, the word race has been used to label certain people, mm-hmm. but it's a cultural, systematic race towards land and resources for survival. Mm-hmm. And so that's why you had like the Berlin Conference and all these European nations splitting up Africa. That's why you had all these nations vying for, but England got the United States, that whole continent of the United States.
People don't realize England is still part of the United States. The United States is England.
Right.
It's just the West Coast version of it.
Right. And yeah, the Independence War, all that stuff that happened, but the system of white supremacy is still intact. So it's us against them mentality. So white survival versus black survival. Mm-hmm. But black people don't know we in a race though.
Some black folks do. I think, like, I have conversations with white folks, some people who want to have this dialogue. Mm-hmm. And the dialogue is not necessary for me to condemn you for being white and you being part of you being a white person. My perspective is to see where you're coming from, and my perspective is, you should have a perspective to see where I'm coming from. So when we have that dialogue, we don't get it misconstrued.
Right.
I love black people. Mm-hmm. I am a black person. But when I say I love black people, I mean black culture. Right. And within that culture, what we have built in, the way we are social, the way we always persevere, the triumphs and tribulations of being a black person structurally around this world. And when you break down the word human, hue means what? Color.
Right.
And man is what? Man.
Right.
So color man. So people don't want to,
right.
And that's what people always have told you. If you want to believe your scientists, the European scientists that said the first people on this earth was from Africa and they was colored people. Mm. So if you don't want to believe it, that's fine. But you can't create a structure, in a sense, to want to take over the world and then have people subservient to that structure because now you're taking over the world. People should always want to understand where they come from, what their lineage is, and how to fight and combat, white supremacy. Right. White folks should want to do the same thing as well, because at the end of the day, it's just going to be us humans on this earth. Right. Because all of us are humans, but at the same time, if we want to get rid of that evil, then we all need to fight it, because it's really a battle between good and evil.
It is, and within white people, because I'm glad you said that, because now within white people, because in my opinion, I think it's white people's job to end racism, because we the victims. We've always been the victims. We didn't start it. We didn't subscribe to it. We didn't. You had a couple people who helped.
Oh, sure.
But for the most part, I think it's our job to free ourselves from it, but it's their job to end it. And like you said, having those who call themselves opponents of it to really be an opponent. Don't just be on Facebook and Twitter sending out messages.
Nah.
Really get out and do certain things to help make the world different, if you will. But at the same time, I do think Black Americans, we have never had the chance to self-actualize as a group. Mm-hmm. All other groups, because we're often compared to other so-called minority groups, and I don't like to use that term because we're not minorities.
Nah.
We're majorities if you look at it globally.
Yeah.
But we being we're categorized in the same manner as these other groups, but these other groups haven't faced the trauma that we have. Like, how do you heal from 400 years of chattel slavery?
You can't throw a guy in and say slavery ended at 1858 or 1857 or whenever it officially ended, and then say, hey, now you can go out there and play.
But then you end slavery, but then you have all these other institutions after slavery, who help support the system of white supremacy. And then looking at it now, the state of Black America nationwide is worse than it was in the 60s.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think about it. Even in the 20s and 30s, you had more black folks who were married than white folks because of the Depression. And white men didn't want to marry white women because they didn't want to have a family because of the Depression, and everybody was broke. But within the structure of the black home in America, you had a lot of married couples, and then you had a lot of people building wealth within their cities and stuff like that.
And then the segregation made it to where black people had no choice but to work together.
You had no choice.
When the idea of integration came in, we took that and ran with it, and we shouldn't have. Even Dr. King realized that wasn't the greatest thing to do, to integrate into a culture without having to self-actualize. And to me, that's why that comes back to being very important, because we lose ourselves trying to be a part of everybody else.
Right. That's why I keep saying you can't integrate into another culture till you have understanding of where you're coming from. Right.
Because, I mean, all the corner store, if you remember Houghton Street, growing up, Houghton Street, you had Cherry Hill, Mr. Joe store. That was the black convenience store, one of the black convenience stores in that part of the city. We don't really, other than that, it's at the corner of Orange Avenue and Spring Hill, the gas station, the Marathon gas station that's owned by the Ethiopians. Then it's another petrol gas station a little further up that's owned by Ethiopians. But how many black Americans own any convenience stores in our neighborhoods here in Tallahassee?
We talked about that.
Good question.
Not that many.
If we do,
it's one
maybe
in the whole city.
I haven't seen one. You seen one recently?
I'm just guessing. I'm just throwing one out. I mean,
I haven't seen it in a long time. Usually it's the
and see that's
Indians.
That's an issue, because think about how much money these convenience stores make.
Oh man, this dude told me he makes. He was just running the convenience store. He said, "Yeah, man, he was an Indian kid, and he said, man, I make $120,000 a year doing that."
Yeah,
and that's just having a convenience store that it's in the hood.
Yeah,
it's the same thing with, we was talking about this a while ago. You got the Chinese hair shops in your neighborhood selling you hair. Now that's a whole different topic about hair, black women hair, because we got into that. We went into that. We deep dived into that.
Right.
But what the whole point was is that you got other people outside of your culture who's making money in you. And granted, if in a capitalistic society, what we live in America, you got free will. Well, you necessarily ain't got free will, but you got freedom to set up shops wherever you can set up shops if you have the means to do it.
Right.
But the problem is that for us, we've been socially programmed not to create our own in a structure that we don't want to have the convenience store, because it's looked upon like, why you got a convenience store? Why you don't become the doctor? Or why you got this hair store? Why you don't want to? It's all these other things.
Because and it is by social engineering too. Like, we have to also realize that we've been socially engineered to think and act the way we do now. There are some of us who've been able to realize what's happening and trying to reverse the madness, but it takes a while to completely reverse the madness. But that's the whole point. If a group has a chance to self-actualize, they're a group first. True. And you understand that all these other groups, they may not be against me, but in order for us to survive as a whole, we have to work together. So try to go into Chinatown and start a business and see if you succeed. They're not gonna mess with you.
That's like going into the Jewish community or the Italian community or trying to set up shops there.
They don't have to mess with you.
Nah, they don't, because they already have these shops programmed. They already have these shops in their community.
We don't have to mess with other people, but we choose to. The Black Panther movie showed, they broke it down, 35% of the people who went to see the movie were black Americans. Just from this country, 35% black people. I think they roughly rounded that up to like $84 million. That was dropped in like a week or two, maybe a weekend. So we dropped $84 million when we want to.
Right.
You can't tell me that we cannot create our own and support. Now, I don't think we need a whole lot more businesses. We need to support the ones we have. Now, specific businesses we may need to open up, but we need to support the ones we have. And also, stop opening up a barbershop right down the street from another barbershop. Stop opening up a barbecue spot across the street from another barbecue spot. Stop opening up a car wash next to another car wash. We got to work together instead of this competition thing. It's too much competition within the race, and we're not even looking at the competitors outside of us who really lapping us. Like we being lapped by all the groups. The Hispanics now, they outnumber us. As far as raw numbers, they outnumber us. And there's many different factors. Of course, the killing of black people, incarceration, abortion, all those premature deaths, all those things play into it. But the Hispanics have now lapped us. So America is a third-rate or fourth-rate race of people in this country because the Asians coming for us if they have not lapped us already. So now we're talking about the hierarchy or level of importance. And when you're not important, they start to kill you off.
Yeah, and it has been, over so many years of systematic racism and systematic incarceration and systematic, programming of the black mind. It has got us to a point where we are cannibalizing ourselves to, because it's easy for black folks to go out there and pick up a gun and shoot another black man. But it's weird when I see, and this is, you got good police officers out there, and you got bad ones. But the issue is that we see a black dude getting his ass whooped, and a dude shoots him, right? And then another black dude shoots him. Nobody's, gonna, they just like, that's between them. A police officer beats the shit out of a black dude in the streets, whoops his ass. They ain't gonna do nothing either. So we cannibalizing ourselves, and we doing these marches and rallies, and that stuff ain't gonna work. It never has worked. I mean, in the sense that it has got people. It has the civil rights, and I still have a issue with the civil rights in some ways because of they throw that ambiguous word in there, minorities, and they really never said black folks.
Well, I mean, but even in that, you was right. Those marches, they have their place, but they haven't been effective for a while.
They long time.
And let's just be real. Especially when we talking about Selma and all these other marches. If white people wouldn't have got beat up, would things really have changed? If it was just black people being beat, the norm.
No, I mean, think about it. I mean, let's give our white brothers some credit. In the sense that it's a lot of folks who out there who went out there and marched and lost their lives,
and they helped.
And that's what we need from more white folks. If you see white supremacy, because like I said, this world is going to be broken down to good and evil at the end of the day. And you're going to have certain things, but you need to have white folks who see that and who recognize it to go out there and say, you know what? This is effed up.
Right.
This isn't the way it should be. Because some white folks think they're naturally helping, but they can actually be in the way.
Yes.
And I think you don't go out there and speak for black folks until you live to understand that culture. You got to understand where we coming from.
Right.
You just can't go out there and just start saying a couple of words and hallelujah. He said, yeah, man, he cool. He says a rap word, and next thing you know, he's the biggest thing smoking.
Well, see, that's the mark of two miseducated nations. Real white people know who we are.
Oh yeah, sure.
White supremacy have been studying us for hundreds of years. So they know who we are. A lot of people have the notion that they not afraid of us. White people ain't been afraid of us for a long time. Nah. They've been winning for a long time. We had victories here and there, but they've been winning for a long time. So you might have the everyday white person who may have brought it to the Fox News or some of the other propaganda that these media outlets have put out there. They may be afraid of, see the three of us walk around, they may have that. But for the most part, white people have been winning for a long time. So they really not afraid of us in that sense. But it's just the way they interact with us, they know what time it is. Mm-hmm. They know who we don't know who we are. So we're talking about two groups of people who, for the most part now, I wouldn't say the majority of white America know who we are. there are subjects of it who know who we are, but white America has been miseducated just as much as black America.
Mm-hmm.
So black America have been miseducated to the point of we have no idea who we are. White people have been miseducated to the point where they have no idea who we are, and they have no idea how white supremacy has really affected everything that's going on around us. And so it's a complex thing to be able to deal with, because we're looking for people who may not have any idea what's going on to be allies, and we're also looking at each other who have no idea what's going on to be allies. And so everybody throwing their hands up, you're frustrated right now, be like, damn, we ain't got no change. When we gonna get some change? It's been designed this way. Now, that's where education comes in, and that's where us in our 30s learning as much as we can, becoming as much as we can. Like this podcast need to be out there. Like everybody need to be on y'all and supporting y'all, and vice versa. And then the youth need to be able to see this on a regular basis, because if the youth can see this on a regular basis versus the drug dealers, the rappers, the athletes, and things that's always around them that people complain about, but they spend time with the kids. So being able to see some stuff like this, giving them some new perspectives, so future generations, we have more hope. I still believe our generation is going to be one that make a significant change, and I think the ones up under us are going to be able to take from our lead. I think it's a little too late for the generations above us, and also the generations above us have to. You've had certain people who were honest, but they have to really just put it out there that not across the board, but in a lot of things they did fail us. And I had a conversation with my dad and some other people, even breaking down the civil rights movement. It totally wasn't the best for black. We didn't learn how to capitalize from the gains of the civil rights movement. We really helped everybody else more than we helped ourselves in the civil rights movement. Yes, things have changed, but for the most part, women, Asians, handicapped, all these other groups of people are able to benefit from civil rights, from passing the civil rights laws than black people. Affirmative action, all these other things. Well, for all these other things that were supposedly, or some of these things that was created, and even like going back to the relationship with black people and the police. Black people have always have to remember that the relationship has never been good, because it's a misconception out there. Like the relationship just only went sour in the 1960s. Like before then, black people and the police were like holding hands, walking through the streets and stuff. If you go back, because I did a profile on my On the Shoulders of Giants YouTube channel, you can go back to the 1500s, like 1530 or 1550, where the slave patrol in Central America, that's where the first slave patrol were, and their job was to capture slaves and beat them and kill them. Even in America, slave patrol job, especially in the South, their job was to capture, beat, kill, dominate slaves, like reinforce the system of white supremacy. There was a separate police system created in the North, and it was followed. It was more so going off of the structure that was created over in England. But the modern police force we have is what police was supposed to be, which was to protect and serve, mixed more so with the slave patrol in the South. The slave patrol in the South kind of dominate how the police get down. So our relationship has never been good with the police, and we have to understand that. And you have people from our community who join the police force, and their mindset is, I'm going to make change. I'm not going to tell nobody how to make their money, but I will. My main question for them is, how do you as an individual affect hundreds of years of systematic oppression and this system that was designed to win and evolve and get better, versus you having your ambition? Because that's the same thing of somebody going up against a army tank with an ice pick. How you gonna win?
Right.
So
yeah, it's when you speak of things like that, you know, it brings me back to like the conversations sometimes that I have with white folks, and thinking about the things that, you know, they don't have no knowledge of.
Right.
You know, and you got honestly like a lot of good white folks out there who want to help. You know, who want to be part of it, who want to figure out what can we do. But the thing is, their culture is so overbearing over the people who wants to help.
Yeah.
That it kind of eliminates, eliminates those guys in trying to help us. For instance, think about like when the guys in the 60s went to go out there and vote. I forget the situation where these two white men was trying to bring that one black kid in the 60s to take him somewhere in Mississippi to vote, and they killed the two white men who was trying to help this one black kid vote.
That's that system.
And that's the system. And, you got all these folks, good people who want to help, but then they get the system takes them away,
right,
or kills them off. And, as it breaks down over time, you start to realize that, sometimes white folks don't really realize that they might be that it's a hierarchy in their system. You have the supreme, and you have everybody else. So you have the elites and you have the masses. So they're not really a part of that elite structure.
Right.
They're the foot soldiers of that elite structure.
Right.
And everything is kind of painted in their image to make them feel good. Like let's say a white Jesus or a Santa Claus, or some things that make them feel good, that it tells you like, hey, this is all of us. But it really isn't, because when you look at the essence of the elites, they only care about themselves. That's why politics, you got Democrats and Republicans going in the same room, and you got two people arguing on different sides, but they really going in the same structure to accomplish the same things. But people think they're voting Democrat or Republican. Politics never made sense to me, and it never will.
Yeah, I mean, it's once again to go back to them maintaining control. Like this election, this administration, everything, the fallout, everything that's happening it's a stark indication of how race first works. You had white people who were willing to vote against their interest, their personal interest, to maintain white supremacy. Now think about how stupid but powerful that is.
That's very powerful.
So imagine if all black people said, forget this one time, we're going to be race first. We're going to be black first, and we put our interest on us as a whole group first. How much change we can make. Because we keep forgetting how much these people need us. Now, we're not as in demand as we was, because now these Hispanics coming up, and these Hispanics finna be white people new pets. But they'll never be able to bring what we brought to this country. And then a lot of these Hispanics and stuff got to realize, y'all black too. Some of y'all black too. Some of y'all white. But that's a whole nother subject for a whole nother time. But it go back to playing that racial game. They've been conditioned to think that they're part of this team when they're not.
Yeah, like I say, most white folks don't realize they're not a part of that team either, man. You're gonna die, and they'll kill you off just as quick as they kill us off. We're the headliners, but you're the undercard too. Yeah. So when people realize and say, man, we fighting against the same machine, then we want, and like you said, white folks have to end racism. They the one who started. Nobody walked around here trying to conquer trying to conquer lands. Everybody was peaceful. From everything that's written in these current history books, it shows that everything that they went to, that they have destroyed, they have a white supremacy thinking. Right. And I hate it for white folks who just like, man, I want to help. I don't subscribe to that. You hate it for them because there's good people in this world. You got good people and you got bad people. But culturally, what's built in your culture, from a perspective on looking at other cultures, is horrible because they have certain things that it's a difference to have, to love your culture and love things about your culture. That's what everybody should have. Everybody should have pride in their culture, but you shouldn't want to be supreme over anybody. Right.
Well, see, that's the main thing too. Is like you just said, the idea of us being supreme. That in itself is the root of racism. But also one of the main roots of racism is it was created to define or to justify the slave trade.
And by the way, this isn't Mike's thing. So this man, how many minutes we been in here?
39 minutes.
39 minutes. This man has
But y'all flowing though. I don't want to get in, man. Y'all flowing. Y'all do y'all thing. I'm just sitting back listening. So.
But just real quick with that, like racism was created to justify the slave trade. And we talking about the slavery was deemed legal by the Catholic Church. Think about that. Slavery was, and also we talking about a culture, going back to culture, a culture of people. If you read Greek mythology, Zeus was one of the worst ever. Zeus was a walking rapist. He'll be looking down. That girl down there look good. I'm finna turn to an eagle, fly down, try to entice her and rape her. Like white culture from its inception to now has been barbaric, has been animalistic, has been bloodthirsty, has been all the wrong, everything that's opposite of African culture. That's what European white culture has been since its inception. And once we understand that, like you're saying, of course we're not painting a broad stroke on everybody, but those who do want to help understanding that that's the culture they come from, start letting us know what's going on. Like start snitching. They'll start snitching. Yeah,
because it was I don't know if this is true or not, but they said that Harriet Tubman killed her husband, or one of her husbands, or somebody killed somebody when they found out that they was going to tell the master.
She was willing. I got to go back and verify that, but I know she was willing to kill people though.
Yeah, because of the things that she was trying to progress for all, and you have that one person who wanted to go like, no, we can't leave the master's house. We can't do this. So, I mean, like you say, we can't paint a broad stroke over all white folks, because that'd be ill will of us to do it, because as I keep saying, it's good and bad on both sides. Right. But when you break it down to the essence of where we're at in this and where we're at today, is because of domination of white supremacy. Right. You can't deny it. You can't deny racism. You can't deny mass incarceration. Right. You can't deny the huge gap in wealth. You can't deny that, and that's all because of a white supremacy structure that was built to get to one particular race and to destroy them. Period.
And in order for that to happen, people have to be complicit. Whether you can be one of these white folk who are good white folk, but at some point you've been complicit in this. So, and it just happen to understand that.
You got to understand, man, that we all have to sometimes pay for the ill wills of our fathers. Yeah. And I hate to I wish, man, we can all sing Kumbaya and this jump be over. But it's not going that way. Blood in, blood out.
It's real.
And that's the way it has to be. The way they're breaking it down. You got North Korea who want to shoot. And one thing I learned about old wars between white folks, in the sense that they never die.
Yeah, they never really
Russia want the U.S. They want them bad, just like North Korea or Korea in general. They want the U.S. Everybody, that stuff never goes well. You're not going to kill my family.
But it all go back to those people now have brought into that system and ideologies that white supremacy put out. So they want to rule the world. Everybody wants
to rule the world. Everybody wants to rule the world. With nobody, you can't just go, hey man, can I borrow some sugar from your house? Cool, man, I got a little bit. Here you go. So yeah. Greed, man. Yeah, let's get black on the podcast, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You feel me, cuz?
For all the giant turkeys.
Yeah, but let's talk about social, let's talk about business wealth.
Okay.
Me and him been on this podcast, we're trying to,
How long we been at it now? About what? 6 months? Nah, I ain't been 6. No, we started, it's April?
November.
So it has been close to 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
About 6 months.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, we haven't run out of this building just yet. We in the trap house.
It's all good.
Yeah. But
we in the house, right?
We in the house.
That's all. We in the house. That's all that matter, man.
We in the building. But what type of structure that you think for us podcasts? Anybody's podcast, not specifically ours, but what do you think helps podcast branding to get them out there?
Well, you have to be consistent in your marketing about your podcast. Just like anything else, it starts with you. So you got to be the walking billboard, the walking mouthpiece. So I think about it like this. There are a million podcasts out there. So what makes somebody want to listen to my podcast? Mm-hmm. So first of all, I need to stand out. I need to do something different. I need to know myself. I need to figure out what I'm comfortable at. What do I know? What do I don't know? I'm not just going to start a podcast because I just want to start one. What am I talking about? How am I talking about this? Because I need to be able to accurately articulate what I'm saying to people. So when I go out and tell people about my podcast and they say, well, tell me about your podcast, I can break it down to them. I'm not thinking, oh shoot. Because you know how like somebody who claimed to be a rapper, you ask them to freestyle and their eyes get big. Yeah. Like, that should never happen to you when you marketing your stuff. Yeah. Like if you take business serious, because these podcasts are a great way for people to make livings, and some people make a great living doing these podcasts. Oh yeah. You know, that's the dang show my goal, right?
Man, you know what? You know it's crazy with YouTube and SoundCloud and Stitcher Radio and iTunes, man. I mean that revenue stream can be very lucrative, but the biggest thing is to create your own website, right? To have your own traffic going to your website.
Any business you have, your website is your home. That's like you trying to raise a family without a house.
Yeah, that ain't gonna
happen, right? So your website is your home to send people back to your stuff. Because if your podcast is on somebody else's platform, or you don't have no home base for your podcast, how can people really learn about you? And if your podcast is on this other site, you basically helping them out. You working for them. Yeah, that's really what you're doing, because they getting all the views. Yeah, you might get the listeners and stuff, but they get all the big benefits from that.
Yeah, when you because
hold on, cuz you open that door, man.
I'm drenching.
You drenching, bro. You looking wet over there.
Oh, dang.
You got a pool on top of your head.
Yeah. Dang, bro. Well, that's that coconut oil, too. Yeah.
Dog looking wet over there.
Yeah. Well, either which way, I forget what I was about to talk about. I forget my question now.
The podcast.
Yeah. Oh, well, let me touch back on the podcast. When you look at it like this, like, everything that we try to do in America is we try to create a second, a third, or fourth revenue stream, because you can't really rely on that one job, because one day somebody can tell you it's over.
Well, from what I've been looking at, and it's Dr. Claude Anderson talks about that. It's a book called End of Work, and if you look at people who are in economics, especially for black people, they saying in 20, 30 years, if you haven't started a business, you're not gonna have no job.
You know what?
That's interesting. How did he come to that conclusion?
Just by looking at the need for black labor. Black labor is not in as much demand as it was like 20, 30 to 50 years ago. And qualifications and just the way that things are going with prices, the price of living going higher, salaries getting lower. How many black people are really qualified to do things? And if the job pool is competitive to this point where you need this qualification, you need this qualification, you need this experience, you should have a whole lot of people who don't. Because if you got a whole generation of men with felonies, hell, that eliminate them from housing.
Yeah, man,
that's true.
And so trying to get jobs, that's a difficult feat, especially if you have all these setbacks going on. So it's just getting black people to really look at some of these things and really realize how the economics is going. And you have to be an entrepreneur. If not, it's gonna be rough.
Yeah, that second, third, fourth revenue stream is key, man. It once you, like, in the system, like I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Somebody's basically telling you, in a sense, what you're worth at your job.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. They're giving you basically, here's what you're worth, this is what you make. Now, granted, you could take it or leave it, and that's one thing, or you can go out there and get more than what you're worth.
Right.
And within this capitalistic society, you can make more money. It's just about how much time you want to put in, how much effort you want to put in, because you're going to have to put some blood, sweat, tears, and you're going to lose some money. Because everything about business is not always making $1. It's sometimes about losing $1. And what they always tell you, scared money don't make no money.
Right.
So you can't always sit on your money and say, well, I'm going to throw this in the savings, this in the savings. Sometimes you're going to have to take that chance. You got to invest it. And one thing I think all Americans, and specifically Black Americans, but definitely all Americans, we are financially illiterate.
Yes.
Right? So for me, going to school, I got my business and accounting degree, and I have made stupid moves myself. You know, I have went out there and made purchases and bought stupid things at the time and said, man, you can't be doing this. You know, because you can use your extra income to, you know, maybe invest in something or put some more money to the side. Nobody knows the structure of what a stock, a bond, or anything breaks down to.
And they make it easy nowadays with these apps.
They make it super easy.
Electronic, with the ETFs, electronic transfer of funds.
Yeah, they got all these apps, all these search engines that you can pull up and search anything you want to do to buy a stock or a bond in any organization.
But like you say though, that go back to our parents though. Like, what did they know about finances? What did they know about entrepreneurship?
Work 30 years and retire?
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, I can't talk to my dad to this day about entrepreneurship because to him, entrepreneurship is a side hustle because that's how he's always used it. Mm-hmm. He cut grass on the side. Mm-hmm. He was a teacher, a professor at FAMU on the side, but he never looked at that as his main thing. He come from the generation where you work for the state specifically.
Yeah.
You don't just work for somebody, you work for the state because the state got these benefits and they can help you with this and help you with that. And that's not how I think. That's not how I live. That's not the things that I learned about economics. Even though the things I learned, I feel later in the game, I wish I had learned them 10, 12, 13, 14. But learning them now, economics is you using the resources that you have to maximize everything that you can get. And money is energy. So how can you get this energy coming back to you? But what kind of energy are you putting out with this money to actually make this energy come back to you? And are you investing your money in the things that can bring back money? What's your return on your investment? Are you just putting money out? Mm-hmm. Are you just spending all your money? Because think about it, like they say, and I hate when they say this because they need to put it in better context. Black America had the $1.7 to $1.8 trillion in potential spending power.
But we don't own anything.
Potential, it's just kinetic energy, potential energy. Mm-hmm. Anybody can have that potential energy. Because think about it, when we talk about potentials in athletics, mm-hmm. how many people did we see athletes who had potential to be somebody but didn't turn out to be because it wasn't cultivated correctly?
A lot of people.
Right. So,
including myself. Big time.
Questionable.
4-star, man. 4-star athlete, man, in 6th grade.
But it's like being able to use the money. Like, stop saying that we have this 1.7 trillion buying power when this potential energy. If we use it right, we are consumers. Everybody know that black people are consumers. We spend our money on things that we don't need.
We'll be the 9th richest country in the world as far as the spending money if we was our own entity.
Like, if you like to wear Jordans, cool.
Yeah.
Buy you some Nike stock.
Yeah.
The money that you spending on them shoes, if you take two Jordan payments, you could buy you a stock in Nike.
That what some guy said. He said, man, if you have more money in your closet with Jordans than you actually have in Nike stock,
you tripping.
You tripping. And I'm tripping.
I mean, but it's a realization that we have to come to because it's just like you're supposed to invest in the stuff you know. You know Jordan,
right?
So invest in Nike,
right?
Like if you know video games, invest in EA Sports,
right?
Invest in all these technology companies, and like it's an app called Stockpile that you can put on your phone.
Okay.
You put that Stockpile app on your phone. You can either buy the whole stock, or you could buy a piece of the stock. It's also another app called Stash that lets you get the electronic transfer of funds.
Stash is good.
So basically, for people who don't know what the ETFs are, think about a mixtape of stocks. Because a mixtape is a compilation of songs, different songs. So a mixtape, a compilation of different stocks and one that you can put money on. You can put $25 a month on that. And because you don't have to put a lot of money, but I suggest to put money in it. But if you're spending more money on the actual shoe versus the company that make the shoe, then we trip.
Yeah, heavy.
If I go to McDonald's every day and I don't own no McDonald's,
you gonna die.
But
you gonna die before you see the stock make some money.
Right, but still.
Shout out to McDonald's.
McDeaths.
Yeah, McDeaths.
But you still, like, we got to start investing our money better. If stocks is not your thing, invest in yourself as a business person.
Yeah.
Like,
I strongly believe in that. Investing in yourself. I strongly believe in that. Yeah.
Speak on that. How would you invest in yourself?
Everything, man. We're taking courses, man, and just spending money on different literature, everything to kind of help yourself advance, learn different stuff, learn different skills and everything. I think that's really important. Now, can I say I've been doing it forever? No, but lately I'm starting to get into it. I'm trying to put more money into myself instead of spending money on whatever.
Right. But this right here, this setup that you guys have shows the commitment that you have in investing in yourself. Because how many people would really give up their free time to build this, and then to not just build the structure of the building, but to say, all right, because neither one of y'all have to do this.
Right.
It's Sunday. You could be chilling, barbecuing, whatever, but you decide, you know what? I'm going to dedicate my time. I'm going to invest in myself on this podcast because this is something that I believe in with myself. So that right there is you investing in yourself to make sure that you have a brighter future, because you know, you never know what this podcast can take you. Like with us, with our podcast, we never knew.
Right.
But it's giving me a tool to be able to help people who don't even know that they need my help, and people who really don't need my help. But I can help you. Like we just interviewed this lady last Sunday named NATBDo, who's a #1 best-selling author, an international inspirational speaker. She know Les Brown. Them her friends. She don't need us. But she's smart. It's another way to market yourself in front of another market of different people who don't know you. Everybody don't know you.
Yeah, and matter of fact, I'm glad you said that, because we wanna take some of your listeners and bring them here, and we want to take our 25 or 30 listeners and take them to you.
Straight up.
So, but it's a each one teach one type of mentality, right?
Right.
It's a bartering, right? It's a win-win. You don't have to lose for me to win. And I don't have to lose for you to win.
Well, I mean, because it's like what you see with the Breakfast Club.
Yeah,
like that's a powerful mission,
they crushing it.
But they don't have to interview half the people that they interview.
Nah,
they really don't. Like, and then especially people who have different media outlets. Right now, because in my opinion, if you're not the Breakfast Club, you sway in the morning.
Yeah.
So with those two outlets, they don't have to do half the stuff that they do.
Yeah, because I'm not a huge fan of Hot 97. I mean, I listen to them. I respect, the guys who are on there. But I think what happened was and this is going back to like I don't want to necessarily a crab in the bucket mentality, but a competition between rival radio stations, is that they never thought the Breakfast Club was going to blow up like they did.
Right.
And, I always hear Charlamagne say, man, the reason why they blew up is because of that Ray J interview when him and Fab got into it. And then that kind of, boosted their, their ratings. And then ever since then, they kind of took off and, went into a different stratosphere. But he also said that at the time, the people, his media directors, or I guess the marketing people, whoever, they didn't see the value in YouTube.
Right.
That Birdman interview, they said the Birdman interview, I think currently at like 17, 18 million. They said when it first dropped, they had by the time they actually realized that they can capitalize on YouTube, that video had 89 million views. And guess the person who actually put it up got the money.
Now, even in this, Tekashi 6ix9ine, he don't even realize he don't even realize how he helped them. Watch, this is gonna be your highest view interview. Good. Good. First of all, we want you to act stupid enough to get as many views as possible. Right. Because you're gonna help my platform.
Right.
And I don't mind the comments, because now think about how many people tune in to see somebody go in on Charlamagne.
Oh, every day.
But we talking about a platform that's up to 3 million subscribers just on YouTube.
Just on YouTube.
Just on YouTube, 3 million subscribers. So I always like to make jokes. I'm at 1,300. I'm so close to 3 million.
You close, bro.
Man, you close. You close.
Hey,
we not that far behind you.
Yeah, we're at what, 0?
Yeah.
So we close, bro. We coming.
Man, we almost there, right?
Everything's relative.
But at the same time,
that's a lot of people though, man.
the growth though.
You're right. That's what it matters. It's the growth.
It's
exactly.
the growth and consistency, and that's why like this medium, this podcast, and investing in yourself in entrepreneurship is all important because you're creating something that you can do for you and potentially creating an empire that you can give to your kids, because you can't give your job to your kids.
Nah,
you can't. If you work for these corporations, they're not gonna help you in the long run build generational wealth, and that's what we should be concentrating on, generational wealth, rather than just trying to floss, just trying to get that car, just trying to get these chains and all this stuff here.
Yeah,
that's miscellaneous stuff. Like I was it's an interview between Harry Belafonte, or a sit down between Harry Belafonte and T.I. because they got a Rapture series.
Yeah, I
on
like
Netflix.
That's pretty good. You seen that? You seen that, Mike?
I don't watch Netflix.
Oh,
Okay.
Man, I would recommend you go out there one day and just pick one of the good. Just type in Rapture
and just check that out.
and check that out. It's very good.
What's the basis behind it? Like, what is it?
Well, it's just following rappers,
Yeah.
and just different things that they're doing in their life, and different times that they over the last couple of years just walk around with rappers and stuff and filming them.
And people don't realize Harry Belafonte. No, people don't realize that he was the first platinum artist.
Yeah, first platinum artist ever.
Ever. Period.
In music.
In music, ever.
Worth $28 million to this day. I had to look it up because I was looking at something that was like Harry Belafonte got money. I know he had money
Because he was supporting, obviously, Martin Luther King's, cause.
But in that's why I was surprised, because he was a staunch, visible supporter of the civil rights movement, Dr. King and others, and he still got his money. So I was like, man, hats off to him for that. No, some people might say, well, that's because he did this, and we ain't getting into that right now. But
sure.
He worth $28 million. He invested in himself. And think about it like this too. We had people investing in themselves at a time where white America was really racist, because now it's a resurgence of the racism, but when it was really, they would film it and have no problem filming it. And you had these people who were building these platforms and building things for themselves, like the director Oscar Micheaux. Oscar Micheaux was the first black director in the United States, and he created a movie called Within Our Gates, which was a rebuttal to the Birth of a Nation movie that D.W. Griffith created, which was the first real cinematic propaganda piece against black people.
Yeah, that was when they had like the white dude painted as a black dude, and he chased the white woman around.
And so that was the first time that was like in film, because that was the first. Birth of a Nation was the first film.
Yeah.
So we had people investing in themselves then. Mm-hmm. We have resources. Black Americans, we don't have half the excuses.
Nah.
We do have it. We do have reasons.
You have reasons, but you don't have excuses.
Right, because we have resources. Now, we choose not to, one, recognize, and two, utilize our resources. The main resource we have is ourselves as people.
Sure.
Like, when black people, when we commit ourselves to anything that we do, we gonna dominate. Think about it. Think about a medium that black people have decided to take over and they haven't taken over.
The guy who owns the Weather Channel now is black man?
Yeah, Brian Allen.
Yeah, Brian Allen he a billionaire.
Right, been getting money.
But
it's like we have to know that. Like we don't know about Byron Allen. Like, how many people know about Reginald Lewis? Reginald Lewis was the first black billionaire period in the United States. He was an athlete, he was a lawyer. Matter of fact, dude was so smart that he didn't have to apply to go to Harvard Law School. They called him up, was like, hey bro, look, we need you to be a part of this law school. Mm-hmm. But he was an entrepreneur, and he became the first black billionaire. So we have history. We built this country. White people are proficient at managing and stealing. They're proficient at that. Think about it. During slavery, right? If I'm not working, why do I need to invent things? Why do I need to? Man, ain't no Eli Whitney ain't creating no cotton gin. Why is he creating cotton gin? For what? He ain't picking cotton. The people who are out here doing this labor, they the ones who thinking about how can I make this easier for myself. Mm-hmm. It ain't the people who are sitting around doing nothing. White people created the patent office and stealing.
Do you think they created the iPhone?
Man, if it wasn't for the cobalt that they get out of Africa
and Nigeria,
you wouldn't have none.
In Congo, I'm sorry, in the Congo.
And because if you really look at a lot of this stuff goes back to some kind of black interest or some kind of black exploitation. So that's why, hell, if we're gonna be exploited, let's exploit our damn selves.
You know, it's a social economic class, man, that certain people are privy to. They're privy to like certain, you know, knowledge on how to make money. They're privy to like what's about to happen in the next 5-10 years, because what's happening right now was already said 10 years ago. And what's going to happen 10 years from now is already said what's going to happen right now. People just not privy to that information. So the same thing that, you know, structurally we need to have people understand how to, you know, manage wealth, how to earn wealth, how to be their own resource. Secondly, you need to have people in these, well, each one teach one mentality where we can show people of this culture how to, you know, do what they need to do, and they can pass it along, because knowledge is information, and information is very much powerful. So once you pass that, that is a research, and that's wealthy.
Because look at it, like, look at the Monique situation with Netflix.
Man, how you, bruh, honestly, how do you, me, you, and Mike ain't in Monique's situation wealth-wise, right? Somebody tells us, just break it down to the bare basis, what she was over $500,000, right? Somebody offers you $500,000 right now. Just in your situation, depending on what your principles are, let's say, hey, Mike, we want to offer you $500,000 for your podcast. Like, Now, granted, we only got 25 views. I mean, 25 people who view our show and maybe 5 or 6 subscribers, right? Who knows? Somebody gonna offer me $500,000. I'm like, damn, what do they see? Because they're gonna give me $500,000 for something that's not already off the ground. Then it might be worth more.
Now, taking the page out of Master People, you also got to ask yourself the other question. If they see $500,000 in this, how much am I really worth?
I remember C. Murder telling him that. He said, man, they giving us $1 million. P said, they going to give us $1 million for right now. Imagine what we are actually worth.
Now, I ain't going to lie. I felt like Netflix tried her with that $500,000.
Really?
I felt, because in her shoes, because it's just like, all right, if you Tom Brady.
Okay.
And I offer you $1 million contract, you're going to feel insulted.
Yeah,
correct. Because no matter...
But he's still playing football, though.
True, but he not getting his worth. And you should, no matter what, you always get your worth at the end of the day, because you didn't put that much work in to not get your worth.
True.
So I do feel her for being mad, because Netflix tried the hell out of her. But the begging tour that she went on, I felt was unnecessary and a waste of energy. Forget Netflix. Shoot them 2 birds. Tell them to kiss your butt and go build your own.
That's exactly, and that's why a lot of folks were mad at Monique, because they know she has the fan base. She can go out there and you know, as you know, the Breakfast Club and a whole bunch of other people, you know, was talking about. You know, why you just don't do it on yourself? You already have. That's like somebody coming to us. We got 2 million followers, and we want to get a show on Amazon, and Amazon say, hey man, you and Mike not worth it. We're not gonna give you this amount. We say, okay, we'll do it on our own.
Get your own camera on out and do it.
We'll go out there and do it. And then when you come back to us, the brick done went up.
But see, that's why I like Damon Dash so much, man.
They you know what? Damon Dash was always seen as a bad guy to a lot of folks. The way he comes off to a lot of people might be harsh, it might be abrasive. But once you start to dissect his words, you can get something out of that.
I will say this. Damon Dash is, what I liked about him is he didn't have a problem challenging stupid authority.
Yeah.
He didn't have a problem challenging injustice. He didn't have when he seen his homeboys getting messed over, being shortchanged. Yeah. He stood up for. Now, a lot of these rappers, Jay-Z and others, they have to thank Dame for standing up for them, standing in the pocket. And
somebody got to be the martyr.
You know, and he was a little ahead of his time as far as getting people to really realize, like Dame, Luke, Master P, the whole Bay Area.
Crazy thing with Luke, though, I'm sorry to cut you off. Luke, everybody shunned his back on him. If you read the book of Luke, I haven't read it. I want to read it because I just want to read that one story with the Jack the Ripper when Snoop Dogg and them boys. Can you remember? I had never understood why Dre disrespected Luke.
Right.
But they said the Miami boys said, "Hey, cuz, them boys in Atlanta. We about to show them how these Florida boys do it. I don't care what you got going on with the East Coast boy. They said they went up there and they tore their ass up.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, they tore their ass up so good. Suge Knight said, "Hey, cuz, we need to end this. We don't want no part of these Florida boys no more." But the interesting thing what Luke said was that when he was going through his situation, the only person supporting him was a white dude. And guess who it was? The guy who did Banned in the USA. What was the guy, the original guy who did Banned in the USA? Man, what's the guy's name? Bruce Springsteen.
Okay.
He was the guy who supported him and said, "Hey, man, you can do this song."
Well, see that to that shows you when humanity gets put forward, when people can, because it's like learning how to not get so caught up in one world, not being so pro-black,
right,
that you forget that. Yeah, now pro-black means putting black people first, but it don't mean I'm shutting out everybody else.
Shouldn't mean.
And if somebody if somebody can help me, I can let them help me.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I prefer the black folk to help me. But if somebody can help me, you know, I'm not gonna shun. I ain't stupid. It's just a thing of learning not to be stupid at the end of the day.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And then, but also talking about the economic aspect, rolling into like for I don't know, I just thought about Cam Newton, but then I thought about the Carolina Panthers, the situation with Jerry Richardson. Remember, Jerry Richardson got caught sexual misconduct.
The owner, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
A couple lawsuits and all that, and now he got to sell the team.
Oh yeah.
And so you got Diddy, Steph Curry. I hope they build this powerful group to be able to buy the Carolina Panthers, which would be the start. But I prefer black folk to start our own league. Because think about it like this: we celebrate Jackie Robinson,
True,
but we don't know who Rube Foster is. Rube Foster was basically one of the main reasons why the Negro Leagues existed. At the height of it, it was 2 or 3 Negro Leagues existing. Jackie Robinson was the first Negro to say, "Forget y'all and go play with these white folk." He was. So, but we had these leagues. We have this white ISIS coda mentality. So Jackie had that, other players had that, and they went over to the Major League Baseball, which was the downfall of the Negro League and all these other leagues. So it's understanding economics, but understanding why we have to, like he said, going back to what Mike said, going back to investing in yourself, investing in your people, believing long term in yourself. Because imagine where the Negro Leagues could have been today if it was still existing.
Yeah, they had some great players. Obviously, Bob Gibson, Satchel Paige. You know, the main characters, but you had people within there.
But black athletes were better than the black baseball players were better than the white baseball players. And now the best baseball players are black people who speak Spanish.
You know, that's crazy because a lot of kids who don't. Back in the day, baseball was, as they seen Americans' pastime, the American sport. And, you know, a lot of black kids played baseball. That's what you did. They played baseball. Basketball was kind of secondary, and football was secondary too.
Right.
But the thing is, whenever black Americans or black men or women, in a sense, to dictate whatever sport they want to go to, they become the best at it. Not sit up here and saying it's not no good white athletes.
We're just the best. We just become the best at it.
When you literally put in a pool basketball players, football players, even we want to do swimming, golfing, Tiger Woods, then, you know, all that stuff, man, usually at the end of the day it's going to be some black guy who's going to excel at the top. Like
Skip Bayless say on the Undisputed. Skip has been saying this for a long time. I don't like a lot of stuff he say, but I like when he say this. Nobody wants to see a bunch of white guys out there playing a lot of these sports. They don't. They really don't. I mean, really think about it. If you had 2 all-white teams playing basketball versus 2 all-black teams, even the white people gonna watch the 2 all-black teams. They want to see some dunking. They want to see some next level stuff. Come on, anybody trying to watch Kyle Korver over LeBron? It's just not gonna happen.
No, it's not gonna happen.
Right. But then going back to that, like I just learned about the story, and I just did a profile on it. I talked about it on my podcast, The Fix. But then I just did a profile on the show, The Giants. Did you all know that black people dominated horse racing for its first 30 years?
I didn't know that.
No.
The first half of the first 15 of the, I think they said 15 of the first 28 runnings of the Kentucky Derby were won by black people. I think the first 3 were won by black people. I know 1876, and then 1874, 1877, 1878. Those years, black people dominated the Kentucky Derby. That the first Kentucky Derby, the first and the third were won by black people. Like literally the first 30 years, then black people were systematically ran out of horse racing, like banished from horse racing. Like white people would be out there killing black people in the race, like making them fall off and get trampled and dying and stuff. And it was so they can because white people realized some of the inefficiencies that they had, or the inferior, because white people have a superiority /God /inferiority complex against us. The white supremacists do. And so they know who we are, and they are afraid of our retaliation because they know how great we are. But at the same time, they know they got a good system in place to keep us where they're at. So that's why a lot of this information ain't out. So that's why it'd be good for us to get together and talk about this stuff every now and then. But even in like the realm of sports, man, we got to learn to control. Think about how many black people in these sporting arenas. We dominate the sport, but we don't dominate the sport.
Yeah, it's no black owners. You barely have black GMs. You know, I mean, somebody put it like this: like, if the owner makes $1 billion, what can the player make? And they get mad at LeBron when he wants to create his own structure. You know, that's the craziest thing, because, you know, I think Michael Jordan is the best basketball player of all time. And the only reason why I think he's that is because of the last 5 minutes of the game. I would probably rely on MJ more than LeBron. Yeah. But for the most part, as my co-host always says, MJ doesn't have any redeeming qualities. Now, I love the man's shoes.
Right.
I'm cooning for the man's shoes. But as a person, he doesn't have more redeeming qualities as LeBron.
Right.
And LeBron has brought his people on. He's created his own structure, and he's always been his homeboys first. He always tried to create the structure around his circle.
Yeah.
And I think what made LeBron so special to a lot of people, and so people can relate to him, is because he seems like the dude who's just the guy down the street that you can just like, man, he remind me of so and so.
But see, that's why I'm and I think every black person who has a sports show troll Skip Bayless. We're not gonna allow Skip Bayless to take this dude and drag this dude name through the mud because you don't feel like he live up to Jordan standards. He ain't trying to live up to Jordan standards, but what you not gonna do is try to drag this man's name and try to make it seem like it's an issue with this man, or he ain't a good person, all these things, because Skip Bayless personally has an issue with this dude who is of service to our community, who the community directly can benefit from his success as a person. So what you not gonna do, Skip Bayless, not on my watch, now that I got a microphone and I got a platform, I gotta.
Well, Shannon tried to do his best now.
But you know, Shannon got to walk on eggshells too, because you're still on Fox Sports.
Well, you know, at first Shannon was loose.
He was at first.
Shannon's still loose now.
He wasn't. He was very loose in the beginning.
Shannon's still loose.
Okay, yeah, I mean, he was very loose in the beginning. I love Shannon.
Now we all know Skip's soft. So the moment Shannon say something to Skip that Skip can't take, watch, you ain't gonna see Shannon on that show no more. Think about it with the situation with Jalen Rose, when Jalen Rose called him out for scoring 1 point, averaging 1 point in high school. Yeah. And Skip got mad because Skip always talking about people. Right. But he can't take it. Nah. But once again, that's why we have our media outlets, so we can tell our stories, and when stuff like that, we had the rebuttal for that.
Right. You know, it goes, and when you think about all the great athletes who ever played sports, and the great athletes who played it in the 60s and the 70s, they had that sense of community, and they strive to get everybody better. They always spoke for the masses, never really spoke for themselves. But then it changed, and you don't know when that change kind of happened, that it became more individualized than about
in the 70s.
Yeah,
it seemed like with Dr. J and them. Because I don't want to put it all on Jordan, because
I can't definitely put on
Jordan learned from somewhere to not necessarily put that stuff to the forefront like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But what did Dr. J speak? I don't know. Did Dr. J ever speak out against certain things? Did some of these other cats in the 70s, did they really speak out against these things? Because we know, like, come the 80s and the 90s, when nobody really speaking out, not in those realms.
Nah, man. I think it just goes back to a lot of people. Once you get, it's whatever your principles are. For me, I don't ever want to go back to technically at the bottom, but I can live there because I've been there. So I understand it. Some people lose their mind. You know, some things they feel like they don't have access to, they'll go freaking nuts. So, you know, but now let's get to some real stuff, because this is where Mike's proficiency comes in.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about it.
I personally always felt this way. What we looking like on time right now?
We're at an hour and 20 minutes.
Hour and 20 minutes? Okay.
That's a quick hour and 20 minutes.
Man, I didn't realize that shit. I didn't feel like
30
that.
minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, for the last 10, 15 minutes, I need you to tell me who and what and why. Who's going to win the NBA championship? Why they going to win the NBA championship? And the most important, do you think this year will start that dynasty for that team?
Until somebody knock off Golden State, just with what they have. I mean, let's just be real, man. You have 4 of the top 15 superstars, top 20 superstars on one team, and their bench is sick. Like, their bench is sick.
Yeah,
Livingston is a beast.
Yeah, he is. Iggy too.
I can't put Klay Thompson and Draymond Green in the top 20.
You want to put them in top 20? Oh man, I would. Honestly,
No,
I think Draymond is one of the most important pieces on that team. I think without, now we're learning how important Steph is, but I think outside of Steph, Draymond is that. I think Draymond is that important and that dude, but he don't have to do that with that team because he's the 4th scorer. So, especially now bringing over KD, you see Draymond's role as far as that score diminishing, and he being more so the bully and the other things there. So he's that important piece. But at any given time, he could drop 30 on you too.
Who?
Draymond.
No.
Draymond could drop 30 on if he need to.
Man,
Go ahead.
No.
I would say he's capable of dropping 30, but any given time is different.
Man, Draymond live, man. Draymond a bad dude.
Nah, man.
But we know Klay can give you 30 in the quarter.
Yeah,
that's true.
Klay can, but Klay usually disappears sometimes in some spots in the playoffs.
But I do think what Golden State has is superior to what everybody else has, including Houston, because Houston is seen as that team who can challenge them, and I think Houston do have pieces, but you know, like we said before we got the recording, James Harden, he got a history of like fading in the playoffs, and then Mike D and Tony don't even stretch defense.
Yeah, well, I think Houston's one LeBron James away from winning the championship. I picked Golden State to win it too. I like Houston a lot, and I think Houston and Golden State is going to play in the Western Conference Finals, and I think it's going to be a 7-game series. But the thing is, I think I would trust Golden State to win on Houston's court. You know, in the sense that Steph, man, bro, I can just man. I mean, that boy, when he get hot, man, he start launching.
But like I do think Golden State gonna beat New Orleans.
See, that's why I don't think so.
You don't think you think New Orleans can beat Golden State?
Yep.
Now I wouldn't be. I'm not even mad at that. Go ahead. I mean, I'm just not. I mean, because man, Anthony Davis is next level, man.
Anthony Davis always been giving the Warriors problems. Don't get me wrong, they have got swept both times, but Anthony Davis coming off injuries, you know what I'm saying? The team wasn't really all together now, but honestly, the key difference in our team, I think, this year is Rajon Rondo.
Man, look, I was
That's
just
the
talking about him
difference,
on my man. I love Ron when his mind is right. When his mind is right, he's not that scorer. He's a traditional point guard, but yeah, Rondo.
Trust me, I miss Rondo. The Bulls was up 2-0 on the Celtics.
They was going to beat the Celtics.
Yeah.
They was gonna beat the Celtics.
Had Rondo
got hurt.
Correct.
And then he got hurt. And then next thing you know, the Bulls lost 4 straight.
Now, so I give you that because Rondo he has that experience. He's a champion. He know he good. And he know how to push buttons, just like the game last night with the white guy. He's pushing his buttons like they at the free throw line. I'm gonna come stand next to you at this free throw line.
Yeah,
make him
Zach
coach
Collins.
you out.
Yeah.
You know,
I love that. I mean, it's gamesmanship. I mean, nobody in the NBA is gonna fight. Lonzo Ball was right, man. Nobody in the NBA is gonna fight. Nobody's gonna throw no hands. Now back in the 80s,
that was different. That was
they gonna throw hands because.
What Lonzo Ball said in that situation, I agree with you.
Okay.
But he was still a bitch for walking away from that fight.
Yeah.
I don't care what nobody says.
Well, yeah, well, okay, right. That is too.
You go stand up for your teammates, whether
Yeah.
you're gonna fight or not fight.
But
Don't
see-
turn your back and walk away from your teammates because you don't think nobody gonna fight.
Nah, you right.
That's ridiculous.
So let me ask you, how y'all feel about Lonzo at the end of the day? Like his season, what grade would you give him, and why would you give Lonzo that grade?
B minus.
B minus on Lonzo?
B? You said B?
B minus.
Okay.
That's a C to C minus, somewhere in that range.
I'm wrong with you.
Yeah, I wouldn't say. I think he was overhyped. I think Kyle Kuzma was a better rookie this year. And on top of that, he didn't really. He was injured a lot too, but he didn't really. To me, he didn't really make the team go. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't really the catalyst of making that team go. Even though he got promoted to that spot, everybody's like, "Oh, Lonzo Ball doing this, Lonzo Ball doing that." To me, he wasn't that piece that LA was missing.
Yeah, I like Lonzo, but like you said, he was his daddy did a great job.
Incredible
of
job.
I
Yeah.
love his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Lonzo
Him
definitely-
or Kratos. I want to be my daddy. Yeah, Kratos, God of War.
Kratos was.
Kratos the man.
Hey, but Lonzo didn't.
All right, shout out to my dad. No disrespect. Yeah, not Kratos.
Your real dad.
Yeah, who?
Your real dad.
Yeah, but real dad. Not Kratos. I like Kratos because Kratos could throw them hands.
Kratos was, bro.
No, you're not.
But man, Lonzo, I thought as the second pick, I wanted for my second pick to give more, to be able to take over the games more, to do more, to be more aggressive. Now, if we're talking about as a point guard, Lonzo is a very good point guard. But if we're talking about second pick talent in the draft.
Think about it, the last 4 or 5 years in NBA draft, man. There's been a lot of buzz at the top 5, man. I mean, from Jahlil Okafor to
D'Angelo Russell.
D'Angelo, yeah, I forgot.
What's your man's name that's in Utah, the rookie in Utah? What's his name?
Oh,
Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell. I watched him play at Louisville last year. I knew he was good. Trust me.
I ain't seen this.
Nobody seen that.
Yeah, but same thing with Kuzma. Nobody's seen this with Kuzma, so that's
True.
That's good as far as those rookies coming out. But Ben Simmons, Kuzma, Donovan Mitchell, they overshadowed Lonzo. So Lonzo gonna have to. Down the road, I want to see what he become when he fixed that garbage shot that his daddy should not have let him come into the league.
Yeah, that'd be nasty.
What the hell? They all about shooting the same way though. We look at him and the two brothers. They all shoot about the
Right.
same way. It's all
Right.
trash.
So you know the LiAngelo.
Middle brother. Yeah.
You think he getting drafted?
No. Who gonna pick him up, man? He going to the G League.
Man, I don't know, man. You gotta think about the LeVar Ball marketing machine, man.
That marketing machine ain't that great.
It was great enough to get Lonzo's second pick. I don't think Lonzo was the second best player in that draft.
Lonzo was a 5-star coming out of high school, though.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't. Either way, long story short, I didn't see it with Lonzo Ball not being a second pick, but the LeVar Ball hype machine
That
pushed him
helped.
up there. And
That definitely helped.
I think somebody get LiAngelo. I think somebody get LiAngelo.
I think more so like G League or something like that.
He may end up in the G League, but I think a team will draft him.
That'd be wasting the pick. But that's just me. That'd be wasting the pick, man.
Oh, my goodness.
Bottom of the second half, man. Bottom of the second round. They might get him.
We're going to go from you sitting on the bench at UCLA to you being a first round or a draft pick, a legit draft pick when you couldn't start. And I understand you don't always, because DiVincenzo from Villanova.
Got loose.
He helped himself out.
Yeah,
didn't start.
and he the 33rd. He the 33rd rated player in this draft.
Right.
He got loose.
Now, he helped himself out, but Ball didn't have that type of season. And the little bit of games he played in Lithuania, man, he had 71 points against a youth league team.
Yeah.
But y'all sleeping on LiAngelo, man. Everybody just look at it because everybody talk about the younger brother Alonzo, man. But LiAngelo is a good basketball, but he not trash.
He ain't trash.
Definitely not trash.
He ain't trash.
He ain't going to lead though.
Yeah.
He'll be in there. Trust me, man. He'll be like late second round. He'll get in there. Trust me, man. Just for the hype.
They might give him a Tim Tebow pick, but
Well, Chicago can use something, man. Not him right now.
Y'all need Miritich back.
And we need a
Yeah,
lot
so
of
we got
things,
rid
but
of
we
Miritich.
need MJ back. I take 50-year-old MJ right now.
Man,
Y'all
look
need
at
something,
that.
boy.
Need that Derrick Rose before the injury.
Yeah,
Derrick was hooping last night.
Yeah, he was
Derrick
hooping.
was
He had
hooping
like,
last night. Don't
17
sleep on him.
points.
Yeah, he was hooping
Yeah.
last night.
my dog D Rose hooping, but hey, before we leave, man, I know a lot of people don't watch, probably don't know this guy, but the guy from Austin Powers, the little mini me, he died yesterday, man.
Vernon Troyer, man.
Vernon Troyer.
Show him some respect, man.
Man, I forgot his name.
Vernon Troyer, man.
Yeah, VT, man.
He died?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
He was
Yeah.
40, 49?
Yeah.
48, 49,
I
somewhere
be
in
thinking
there.
these boys be older than that. They look older, but
Yeah, man. And Roberta Flack.
she died.
Nah, she in the hospital.
Oh man.
Roberta Flack.
Oh man.
Yeah, man. So it's some crazy stuff out there, man. People just go out there and live your lives, man. Make sure that you do whatever you can do now. Obviously, in this crazy world that we live in, you're going to go through some BS. You're going to go through some good stuff at the same time. But, man, make sure you stay level-headed. Do what you need to do. Pick up a book. Have that downtime. Definitely, for me, for downtime for me, sometimes, man, it's just sitting back and just chilling. Don't have any. Sometimes when I go in my car and rest, man, it's not even for me to rest, really. It's for me just to release from the world because
What you doing in your car, bro? Like,
sometimes in my lunch break, I
Okay.
go in my car. I'm sorry. No,
Clarify,
I'm sorry.
everybody
you're
don't know, bro.
Yeah,
Clarify.
you're right. Let me put some context to that because people like, what you going in your car for, cuz?
The lunch sound like a hot box.
Yeah. Oh shoot, man. But man, we definitely, man, we need to team up, man. We definitely need to come on your podcast, man.
Hey, man.
Whenever you have time to bring us to your podcast, man, we definitely come, man, because we all need to, do a collaborative effort to corner the market in Tallahassee as a group, man.
Yeah, but no, definitely, man. You guys are definitely welcome on the podcast.
How's your studio? Because it's hot as hell in here right now.
Well, we
Y'all got AC?
We use the virtual thing, so you have to call in to our line. So you can be in your own space, comfortable in your own space.
Okay.
That's how we made it. Eventually, we're gonna get to the. But like my co-host don't even live here in Tallahassee. My co-host in North Carolina.
Oh my goodness.
So we got the long range connection. Matter of fact, everybody that's on the network, none of us live in the same cities.
Man.
So we communicate through, calls and apps and stuff, but we use the internet. So internet makes stuff easy, man.
Yeah, man.
You're right about that.
Think a black person invented the internet too?
Oh, you come. We behind that. We behind that. Because matter of fact, it's the information flowing around through the web. I forgot exactly what he did, but the black person is very intricate in making the internet what it is. So.
If something's invented, there's a black person behind it.
Hey man, look at her.
Cause he like that door, bro. Please open that.
Oh, okay.
Next with this thing.
Oh man, well man, hey man, shout out your podcast, man, and social media and stuff like that, so our listeners, can come check you out, man.
The website is freedomtrainradio.com. Freedomtrainradio.com. So I give you our weekly lineup. Every Monday you get the Fix Sports Podcast, which is my show, the realest and the blackest sports podcast you ever heard. Every Monday on our website you're gonna get that. It's also available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. Every Wednesday you get the Freedom Train Podcast series. You also get the live showing of Office Hours with Professor Carlton Jones and Erica Tobit. The live showing is at 9:30. It's on YouTube, so if you tune in to the Carlton Jones YouTube channel, you'll get that. But it's also streamed from our Freedom Train website, so freedomtrainradio.com. Click on the Office Hours tab, you get that. Every Thursdays we have Lessons from the Screen with Patrick Irvin. So go to the website, iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. Every Friday we have the podcast of the Office Hours with Professor Carlton Jones and Erica Tobit. Every Saturday we have Tea Time Black Women Talk, and also the On the Shoulders of Giants podcast. And On the Shoulders of Giants is my historical platform. Social media, Instagram, Freedom Train Network, Twitter, Freedom Train Net, Facebook, like our Freedom Train Network page. Subscribe to our Freedom Train Network YouTube channel. Once again, our website is www.freedomtrainradio.com. Holla at us. Be down with us.
Okay.
Good job, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Good
yeah,
job.
man.
Good job.
Yeah, man. Thank you for your time, man. You know you're a
Appreciate
busy
y'all.
man.
Appreciate y'all, man.
Yeah, man. We got anything we need to do, man? Hey, man. Like we always say, go to Nothing Above the Moon podcast. I mean, I'm sorry. Go to the nuts. Go to SoundCloud.
I don't even want to read ours off at the Joe, bro.
Yeah, you know Joe making us feel like.
I know, right?
You better read
We
that
got one.
thing.
We got one. This man named like 10 different platforms, social media.
I know, right?
All
Read
that stuff,
thing. It
man.
don't matter. If we start the summer, you got to read it. You got to.
got
You're
you.
right, man. Nothing above the moon 60@gmail.com. Send us an email, man.
There you go.
Send us an email.
Yeah, and don't forget to go to the our SoundCloud page, which is Nothing Above the Moon. Type in Nothing Above the Moon on SoundCloud and subscribe to our channel. You can get the latest content. And we always talking about eventually what we're gonna do, but these things that we're gonna put in and we putting in the air, we're gonna eventually put into play. We definitely want to start these community drives where we go around every year around school year and get these book bag drives started. We want to do mentorship programs. We're gonna have merchandise for people to buy and stuff like that. Won't be high price. Won't cost that much. It won't cost that. We won't price it like Jordans or anything like that. But you can probably wear them with some Jordans. But at the same time, man, we want people to go out there and support this channel, support Joe's channel, man, and support everything that's black business, because we want to grow our structure in America to make sure that we have our own matrix in here. Everybody deserves their matrix, and definitely black folks definitely need to carve out their matrix to make sure that we're not complaining, we're not whining. You have your own system, you have your own banks, you have your own schools, you have your stuff that you can go back and fall on to, because you can't rely on the federal government giving you things in order for you to say you're going to be successful. You got to go out there and take it. So with all that said, I'm going to leave, my last little words here, to make sure everybody understands why we have this podcast. But my words are, wealth is not money. Wealth is knowledge. Knowledge is power. And once you create power, you can create that within your families and your communities. And once they understand that the knowledge and the power is what you need, you can build generational wealth with your people. And that's all you need to understand. It's very simple. As long as you have knowledge and power within your family, you can build generational wealth. That's all that matters. All right. So till we see y'all again next Sunday, we're going to put out the podcast on this Tuesday. So, yeah, y'all just be ready for the next episode next Sunday. All right?
All right, folks. We out of here.
Yep.